My name is Scott Levan, and police officer here at the university. We're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We work Christmas, we work New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Our phone number, you guys all have our phone number in your phones, everybody here. 570-389-4168. And there's another number now, and it's going to change that, I guess, solely at some point, is 570-389-2211. But specifically, normally I talk about crime prevention, things like that, but Bill wanted me to come here today and talk to you guys about some specific topics, which I'm not an expert on any of them, but maybe we can interact a little bit. Said like sometimes there's like you guys are students and you're workers, but you might have problems with other students giving you crap. And some of them are in areas that you guys are designated for you, and you know what you would do in a situation like that. I know the one was like the hallway going back out of here says employees only. But if anybody's in there that's not supposed to be, or any type of suspicion, maybe they're just in there and they really didn't mean anything. And if you ask them to leave and they leave, no problem. But don't get a confrontation with anybody necessarily. Just give us a call. If there ever is a problem with dances, one thing to do if we can or we're involved with somebody, if you guys would help us hit the lights. If I'm there, I tell the DJ beforehand, you know, if there's an altercation, dissent, fight, whatever you have, stop the music. You get the lights on, you get the music stopped. You don't want to have to deal with other elements, you know, that aren't conducive to controlling a situation. If you come across a person that's unconscious, what would you do first thing? Yes, sir. Yep. What else?
Check for consciousness.
If they're breathing, if they're not breathing, you know, you want to clear their airway.
Call 911.
Yep. Get us. I mean, if you're the one that's helping them, somebody else, you know, while you're, you know, assisting the person, you could have somebody else say, hey, you know, call 911. That's what they want you to do. I mean, that's what we're told to tell you. If it's a medical emergency, call 911. If it's anything other than that you need us for, call us. But it really doesn't matter. Everybody's going to show up no matter who you call. Don't feel like you're calling the wrong number. The only thing is, if you do call 911, for us to get there, it's going to be a little bit delayed response because we have our own dispatchers, and they would have to go through the county to our dispatchers. But you guys all know about the call boxes. May never need them, but they're out there. You hit that button. As soon as you hit that button, that just doesn't go to our dispatchers. That goes right to our radio. It gives your location. Before you can say a word, it says where you're at. You know, if you're up at a bus stop, whatever. So we're going to start making our way to your location before you can say a word. You're getting your butt kicked or whatever the situation may be. We're going to be heading there before we're even told to head there, okay? Something I just want to throw about the call box. I know everybody has cell phones now, but for some reason you may not have your cell phone. The only thing with the call box that we don't want you calling is like if your class is canceled. You know, it's more like it's an emergency, more like a 911 type thing. If you do hit it by accident, please tell us, because if we're rushing there, we're still gonna come. Just while I'm thinking about it, you guys know about the Good Samaritan law, the MEC law. You know what that is, because that's fantastic. I used to tell students before this became a law, I believe it was in September of 11. If you even give us the location, if your friend is drunk and passed out and you don't want to get busted, because I know you can, and I didn't think that was right. If you give us a good location, I don't care, get out of there. As long as you give us a good location where your buddy is or somebody you just found, you don't want to get busted because you were drinking too. But this amnesty law is great in that if you are drinking and you're underage, you can't get busted. As long as there are some rules, when you tell either our dispatcher or 911 dispatcher, you have to give them your name, give them a good address where you're at, and you have to reasonably think you're the first person to call. Like all these people can't just call because they're stuck there now and expect not to get busted. You know, everybody else can take calls. You know, reasonably think you were the first person to call and stay with the victim. I mean, I've had times because we can't just go in. You know, everybody has rights. You know, we can't. I remember one time block party. We were up at MOA. And we knew people were up there and knew there was partying going on, but we didn't know how bad the situation is. Not like we just want to go in and bust people, although that's fun sometimes. But it was that the girl, it took us over 40 minutes to get Amy Cunningham involved because we couldn't just go in. We had no just cause. We couldn't go in. No PC, no probable cause to go in there. So over 40 minutes, we got in there and surveyed the place. There's a girl laying in her bedroom, passed out from vomiting. That kid could have died, man. And the other girl that was a roommate, there were some boys in there too, of course, that died. And I understand that law wasn't in effect, but still, I mean, you're talking about somebody's life over a citation for underage drinking. And even that, there's a YLP program which was in place. You guys all know about the YLP, right? If you get busted for underage drinking, or even if it's using a fake ID, which I know nobody here has those, you can get more or less out of trouble. Normally, if you were busted for underage, you would lose your license for, I think, 90 days, 60, 90 days. If you take this program, as long as you've never been busted for underage before in any state, any town, as long as you've never busted before for underage drinking, you can take this. It's 2, I believe, 6-hour classes on Saturday, Sunday, and you have to pay for it. But you don't lose your license, and it goes off your record. The only thing is, you do have to plead guilty at the magistrate's office to a DC, a disorderly conduct, all right? But if you remain arrest-free for the next 5 years, that can be expunged from your record. So it's like nothing ever happened. And if you do go to an employer, you know, I'm sure maybe your employer might have went through this. Just be honest with everybody, because they do find out something even years later, something as small as that, they can fire you. You know, so just be honest with whoever you go to work for in your outstanding careers, I hope. You wanted me to talk about evacuating a building. If you guys evacuate a building, do you know where you're going once you evacuate? Do you know where your meeting area is?
Yeah, I don't think
It's not at Kai's Halloween's or down at Hess's. It's right out here, just west in the lawn west of Montour. If there's something going on there, they would like you, the alternate area is on the other side of Carver, like the front side, the west end, in that area. And then you meet with the supervisors and they'll all say, well, this guy was working, this girl was working there, here. They can let us know. If you are evacuating somebody with a disability, if they're in a wheelchair, you most likely want to leave them in their chair unless it's like, you know, if there's extenuating circumstances, you might want to get them out and help them out. But even like, I only know one kid on campus that has like a guide dog, but even like their dogs could get mixed up with, you know, alarms or smoke or something. You know, people are more important, but, you know, I'm sure it'd be nice to think. But don't ever put yourself in danger. Once you're out, please stay out of the building. I have a lot of times we go up to MPA or somewhere, and that whole building, Philadelphia or whatever it is, will dump. And the alarm stops going off, and I'm in that building where it actually went off, and I come out, and just because the alarm stopped going off, you know, you guys are going back in, and I'm like, man, I don't want to, you know, yell at anybody, but please don't go back in until a police officer or a fireman says it's okay to go back in, because that alarm may have just, you know, stopped going off. Maybe, you know, electric went out, or battery went dead, or we shut it off prematurely. So just, you know, stay out until we know what's going on, to keep yourself safe. And if you guys are the supervisors or wherever shift, try to stay like within 10, 15, 20 feet of a doorway. I know there's a lot of doors in this building, so nobody goes back in. You know, if you have to tackle them or whatever, but people, I mean, doing for the dumbest things, and there are people that died going back in for whatever. And I try to take, like, if you do have time to evacuate and you're on any type of medication, of course, try to take that with you, but don't go back in the building. We can get you some, we can get you whatever from the pharmacy, whatever we need to do. But just once you're out, please stay out. The only time you won't want to stay out, and that's probably, I don't know if they covered any of that, and I don't think we have to tell you, if there's an active shooter, you don't want to stand outside your building. I think you guys would know that. Or use bomb threats, if you have anything like that, don't stand outside the door. Get to another side of the building, get as far as possible. As far as power outages, if you guys were all here for the major power outage, right? Everybody had to go home, and I had to stay here. But it was time and a half, so nice. as far as if it's just an outage that's pending or possible, you always know not to get in an elevator. You know how they go down on a regular basis. You know, Columbia's one, but they all do. You know, they all go down sometimes. And you don't want to be in there if there's a fire or whatever. You don't want to be in an elevator because they will stop working. And not that we can't get you out, but it's going to, put more people in danger. We're going to get you out of there, but. And try to unplug if there is a power outage and it's not an emergency, because sometimes when there's a power outage, the building doesn't need to be evacuated. I mean, just because there's a power outage, you don't have to necessarily leave unless there's extenuating circumstances. Do you guys work in the games room, anybody here? Because there are certain areas like that of the highway where there's not windows, so it'd be good to have, at your station, a flashlight before you even start. It sounds crazy, but I always check mine like every couple shifts to make sure I'm good. And people say, yeah, well, you work day shift. Yeah, but I get in a building that the power's out and down in the mechanical room or something. I need to know where I'm at so I'm not tripping, hurting myself. As far as if it's a sudden power outage, again, don't use the elevators. Turn off all your equipment again, because if you can unplug your things, it might help when you come back in, because when everything gets turned on and all that power, it's possible, that something may short. And again, if something does short, you see after you come back in, you can always pull the fire station. And just so when we get there, let us know that you're going to pull it, why, and what area, it's coming from. You had some examples in here as far as if there's evidence of danger, like a fire alarm, smell, smoke, sound of explosion, pull the alarm, which we just covered, and go to your emergency evacuation area. And then again, when power is fully restored, we just talked about that as far as, plug your stuff back in, make sure there's nothing going on. If there's a fire and you're in a room, you want to, if the door's closed, you want to touch it, and if it is hot, you want to go another, you don't even open the door. If it's hot and you have another exit, you want to use that. Don't ever put the fire between yourself and the exit. If there's a fire that's manageable, and fire extinguishers aren't hard to use, but a lot of people, has everybody used the fire extinguisher in here at some point?
Just did the
Okay, out there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what did you do? Explain to me what you did to use the fire extinguisher. Anybody? And it's, it is. It's pretty simple. You want to aim at the base of the fire and sweep it. But like I say, if it gets away on you, get out of there. I mean, if you can manage it, boom. Some people just aren't comfortable with it. If you're not comfortable with it, and you may not be as fun when you're actually seeing a real fire. I mean, not that that's not a real fire, but if it's in a building, you may want to just get out of there, pull the alarm, and alert others. But don't try to, you guys aren't ever supposed to go and evacuate anybody, right? You're supposed to get who's near you, maybe yell, pull the alarm, and get out. I don't know how this alarm is. Is this like a bell alarm? Some of them are nice and say, please evacuate the building.
It's not.
Yeah, which I think the other ones come across just as well, especially in a building like this. Maybe the dorms, maybe need to be loud. But I mean, something like this, the emergency has been detected in the building, please evacuate. They're nice. Come back and still here. You want to close doors on your way out if time permits, or the windows. If you ever need, it's all stuff since we were kids, if you need to crawl under the smoke, you do. It only takes, a minute or so, and you're breathing in that smoke, you're going to be laying there. And maybe, hopefully somebody gets to you, but it's better just to be safe. As far as bomb threats, does anyone work the information desk out here? What if somebody calls you, or at any phone you're at, you're working in here, might be other places where you're working where you're by a phone. If somebody calls you and says there's a bomb in the building, what would you do?
Probably call the police.
Do what?
Call the police.
That's good. Yeah, definitely want to call us. And then I will send somebody else to come check it out. You want to get, you want to have everybody. We want to move people out of the building. but they do have some of these questions here. What we would like you to do, and we supposedly made it easy for you. It's called a bomb threat phone message report form. Some of these on here sound crazy to me, but this is what come down from my bosses. They would like you to ask, when is the bomb going to explode? So this is,
Wait, there's a procedure to ask
yes,
this?
yes, this is on page 4 of the faculty staff directory, okay?
Why would they get to that question?
Now these questions, some of these are gonna help us. And when we get here, we could get the form from you and go over it. Some of us may not help right now, may help later. The second question is, and these are numbered, if I was numbering something, I think I would go down this way. They go that way, it just seems, because I started reading down, I said, no, that really doesn't, not that any of them fit. But then, you know, you're asking, where is the bomb right now? Because if it is legit, you know, I mean, we're going to need to know this. What does the bomb look like? I know we all think of what we think a bomb look like, but it could be in a backpack or, you know, your lunch pail or who knows. What kind of bomb is it? What will cause it to explode? You know, would it be like, and they're probably not going to, they're probably going to be really rude, I would imagine, if somebody's really doing this. Would pulling a fire station cause it to explode? So you don't want to go out, you know, I mean, it's possible. Or would they detonate it? Is it on a timer? Did you place the bomb yourself? Are you proud of your work? Why did you place the bomb? Just whatever information you can help us, because maybe they're pissed about a professor, who knows, that may track us back to them. Then you're supposed to ask them what their address is.
I don't know about being asked those questions.
Right. I know, this come down from my, oh, she was in here. Then you're supposed to ask them what their name is. And it's possible, but I can't imagine, like if somebody went in to rob a bank, I don't think they can tell you their name if you would ask them. They're just supposed to, I know in a bank and stuff, they just turn their money over and shoot. And then, like the exact language of the threat, they want to know if they were well spoken, maybe it was a taped message that they had playing on the phone. Were they incoherent, drunk, foul language, broken English? They would like you to, and they have all these to check off as you're going. Maybe you're just going to run out of the dough. It's fine with me. Were they accent? Were they laughing? Did they try to disguise their voice? Was the voice familiar to you? Did you think you maybe heard this person before? Were they slurred nasally? Did they have a lisp? Were their voice cracking? Were they angry? And then it does, like some of this may be able to help us too, like were there any background noises as far as like music playing, dishes clanging, things that may try to help us locate where they were calling from. If you could maybe somewhat by the voice tell their age, sex, you could probably tell. Sometimes I can't. This lady I was talking to from Verizon, I said, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear you. She said, I'm a ma'am, you know, so very rarely, but I'm like, I apologize, I felt terrible, but it's not like I'm ever going to see her. But, and then, as far as if whoever receives a call, you guys taking this, if you would just put your name and your position here and your telephone number, we get away. And if we get here, like you could just give us this. Like I said, I don't know if that's ever going to happen or what we'll do in that situation, but that'll be up to you if and when it does happen. Do you guys have anything that, you know, about anything we talk about or anything that we didn't talk about that you want to go over? I mean, if somebody does have anything, it's rare, but if anybody doesn't have something that they want to talk about that they don't want to say in here in front of anybody else, that's fine. You can always call the station and come up, and any of us would be glad to meet with you. Had a lot of thefts up in the library, phone thefts, and did apprehend the person, not me personally, but did get that taken care of. But it's really easy to have something taken out of your dorm room. If you go down to the restroom and leave your door open, somebody can pop in here and take it. I had one, some of the ones you get aren't necessarily legit, or not that they're lying, but I had one up at the library a couple weeks ago. Hopefully she's not even here. If she is, that's fine. Said she left her phone lay on the desk where she was working, went to the bathroom. Well, I wouldn't do that. Don't leave your phone laying. But so I started interviewing people in the area, students, workers, and about 5 to 10 minutes later, she walks by her. She left it over at Starbucks. So things happen, but just let us know so we don't keep investigating and spending time on something. If you make a mistake, that's fine. You just call it a day and put it in the report that way. Sometimes we used to have where students would come from the rec center and say that their IDs were stolen, because if it was stolen, we would do a report, which takes time. Not that we don't do our job, but a lot of time, most of the time, it was just lost, because then they wouldn't have to pay the $25 or whatever it is. But now it's lost or stolen. You still file a report, but you have to pay for it to get another ID. And if you do ever lose your ID, please have it canceled right away. Because if they know you, know where you live, all right, they're going to swipe your card. They can. I'm not saying they would, but you know, especially girls, could happen to guys. But I'm just saying, a lot of it could be a stalker. Swipe in, go in your room. You know, have it canceled right away. And they'll issue a new one, and then we'll go from there as far as whatever, if it really was stolen. But if you lose it, or any of your cards too, the same thing with that. We're done? Okay. You know, if you guys don't have anything, you can take off. I appreciate your time. Have a good weekend.